Okay, so I think we can get started now. It's the time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Helen Chapman. I'm the YLTSIG Joint Events Coordinator, and I'd like to welcome you to our 2019 web conference. Our third 30-minute talk today is by Eva Buyuksimkesyan. Eva has worked in ELT for 30 years. She has taught English to children, teenagers, and adults. She started an initiative called Dream to Edu in 2015. She often delivers workshops for teachers and runs creative writing and reading courses for children and teenagers. Take it away, Eva.
Thank you. Hello from Istanbul to everybody listening to us. Thank you for coming for joining and coming because it's a Saturday evening here, but I know there are lots of people from all around the world. Instead of enjoying yourself, you're attending a webinar, and it's really nice to see lots of enthusiastic teachers all around the world. Well, I'm going to talk about something I really love using in class. It's using film. It's really interesting, but sometimes it can be misunderstood, and sometimes it can be used only to feel the. It can only be used as a time filler, but films can bring lots of opportunities to the class. So today it will be about the opportunities that we can bring into the class with films. Before I start my talk, I'd like you to brainstorm about today's learners in the chat box, please. If you hear the word today's learner, what comes into your mind? Can you please type in the chat box? Yeah, definitely. Social media, they're digital natives, tech savvy, visuals, more exposure to English than earlier generations. Exactly. Yeah, attention span, lack of it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say the same things actually. Today's learners are more visual than us. I mean, I've been teaching for 30 years and I definitely belong to a very old age. They live in a media-rich world. They're used to watching videos on social media. That's their territory. I have teenage twins. I mean, I have a son and a daughter. They're teenagers and they also watch a lot of videos. My son, for example, is a gamer and a Doctor Who fan. He watches Doctor Who episodes over and over again without getting bored. He reads things related with the characters, and even for his writing assignments, he writes about Doctor Who or stories inspired from Doctor Who. My daughter also watches series and TED videos, YouTubers. She knows tons of things, and mostly she surprises with her knowledge on many things. As a matter of fact, my husband and I are not different from them. I've been teaching English, as I said, for 30 years. And from time to time, I've used films, long films with lots of pre, while, post activities to be done in class. But later, I thought there's something else that I can do with the films. And then, following Film English of Kieran Dunny, I have more ideas about how I can use film in the classroom. But some of the things, some of the topics were not very suitable for my students. So I thought, how can I change things? Then I came across with a MOOC from Future Learn about using short film. And it was kind of a great opportunity. I mean, I really recommend the MOOC if it is still running or it will run in the future. So if you're interested in this topic, you can join the course. That was my starting point actually. So I've been using films, um, using different activities after taking the course. Um, Before I move to the next slide, can you please type in the chat box again? Why we should use film in the class? Yes, Lisa, you're right. It was really fantastic. Okay, lots of great ideas there. Their motivation, rich language input, makes lesson interesting. And here are the things that I wrote here. We should use film because they're easily found. They're everywhere. I mean, as I said, we're living in a media rich time, so we can find lots of films everywhere. Internet is in the classroom, so it's easy to bring them to the classroom too. They are fun and they have great content. We can even bring the culture into the classroom too. They activate emotional states. They're picture books. They're also picture books. They're a different kind of reading because our students are not good readers, but if we bring them the materials they're familiar with, we can ask them to read and analyze these materials as well. So this watching films also will give them an opportunity to read, to understand context. They will provide language models. It will trigger curiosity. It will also be a listening comprehension for them. And also, it will be kind of a feeling of togetherness because they're going to watch the films together as a classroom, so they will feel better. They can be used as warm-ups, fillers, and recaps. So they are very useful, I think. There may be advantages, but today I will deal with the advantages, not the disadvantages, but the disadvantages, sorry. They help differentiation, produce content, help understanding, boost creativity, and foster sense of connectivity, as I said. They will watch together and it will give them pleasure. While watching the film, they can try to solve problems. They can try to understand what will happen next, how the characters will solve their problems. And as I said, it's another kind of reading too. Uh, Sorry. Okay. So, what types of films can we use? As I said, internet is everywhere. We can use anything, everything. We can use trailers, animations, commercials, talk shows, documentaries, news and interviews, and also types of films. In the chat box, there are lots of great ideas too, but I cannot concentrate on that. Sorry. Yeah, TED videos as well. So mostly today I'm going to talk about short films. And before I will try to talk about differentiation too. I think, I hope when I'm coming to that. So short film Again, can I ask you a question? Why short film is a good idea? Okay, yes, not too long, um, not boring. They are accessible to keep their concentration. Thank you. Okay, so this is why I use short film, because they are short, so we can watch them several times. There can be interesting topics because they are short films, or maybe short animations. And as they're not commercial products, you can find lots of short films on many different topics. So many different topics, many important issues. And all of them have surprising endings. So this will be very interesting too for the students. So what can we do with these films? Of course, before we bring the films into the class, we should think about the planning, like what will my students learn from this film? It's, it, is it appropriate for their age, the cultural aspects, emotional effects? What can I focus on this film? Vocabulary, grammar, topic, what can be useful for them in this film? So I will give you some ideas, and maybe this differentiation is also here because everybody will understand the film differently, and then maybe they will be able to talk about something else, and they will bring their ideas together. What can we use with the film? We can ask them to describe the characters, emotions, favorite or least favorite scenes, what is happening, what has happened, what will happen. So we can ask them to talk about this. Even here, we can maybe focus on the time. So tenses maybe, what is happening now, what has happened, what will happen. So it will cover all the tenses that we want to teach or revise in the classroom. We can also do comprehension check with true-false questions, statements, WH questions, or gap fills. We can give them writing activities like reviews, ask them to write biographies of the characters, letters, ask them to write alternative endings. We can ask them to debate, maybe ask them to do some role plays, complete a timeline. So what happened during the beginning of the film, in the middle of the film, at the end of the film. Ask them to give advice for the characters. Maybe we can ask them to create a poster, create a new soundtrack. So if you know your classes very well, you can differentiate the tasks. So it's kind of a watching together, but later on, after discussing and talking, you can ask them to do the activities in different ways. And of course, for each session, you can create pre, while, post activities. Like as it is a short film, you can watch the film more than once. So for each viewing, you can try to prepare a different kind of activity. So as a pre-activity, you can do something else, and later you can add another activity. So as pre-activity, maybe you can brainstorm the related vocabulary. Maybe you can just you can take some pictures from the film and ask them to guess the content of the film. Give pictures from the film, ask them to sequence and tell a story before you watch the film. Ask them to listen to the sound and guess the story. Maybe you can ask them to brainstorm vocabulary about the pictures of the film. Write captions for the images you give them. While you're watching it, maybe you can stop them and ask them to watch the film a few times. You can focus on the color and the sound for the first time, and then details for the second viewing. Like focus on the colors. Which colors do you usually see there? What do these colors associate? And then maybe they can understand the mood or the message of the film too. Maybe for the post-viewing, this is the most challenging part, because after watching the film, they can work together or in pairs to create their content. Like they can write a review, answer the questions, write comprehension questions, research the topic, or they can create a game or a quiz using digital tools such as Kahoot, Bamboozle, quizzes, or other tools. They can create an ending, write their version of the story maybe. They can create a poster or come up with a slogan. If it's a film without words, that's much better because they can write the dialogues. They can write Instagram posts about the film and add their comments under each post. Here I'd like to share some of the handouts that I prepared for some of the films that I used with my students. This is something that I created for the sound. So we first listen to the sound together, and then I ask them to draw one of the scenes, imagine the scenes, and then draw one of the scenes, and then think about the characters, how many characters are in the film, the sound effect and music. Can you guess the genre of the film, etc. And then they created their plot, and then we watched the film, and then we compared the film and their own films together. This is also something that you can prepare and hand them while they're watching it. They can fill in the handout. So what has happened so far? What is the problem in the story? How will the characters solve the problem? Even without watching it, you can just do it with a picture from the film. Giving them the picture, you can ask them whether the film, whether this picture is from the beginning, ending, or the middle of the film. And you can ask them to guess what has happened so far, what is the problem in the story, how will the characters solve the problem. So here is another handout that I gave to my students. Maybe you can ask them to write the sequences. First, what happened, then, and finally. And then you can ask them to write a paragraph about the film, or maybe to summarize the film. This is another thing that you can do. So you can just ask them to draw a timeline and put the events into the timeline. Something else, I don't know, I really wanted you that we can watch something together. Actually, I was thinking about the short film Alike. and short animation that I love using with my students. But I thought it would be difficult to watch it in the webinar. So I'm just going to talk about this really cute short film about a father and a son. Please have a look at it, find it from YouTube or Vimeo. Maybe you have watched it, I don't know, because it's really kind of very popular. So it is something that I did with my students. We watched the film, we talked about it, then I asked them to create their characters using Play-Doh. And then they created their characters and they wrote their, I write the name of the film later. They created their characters and then they wrote their stories as well. What I did with the film, I asked them to summarize the topic. Then I asked them to write a paragraph about a day in the life of the character. These are, a father and a son who actually have a similar routine. Like one of them goes to a school, the other goes to work, but actually they are not very happy where they are. I asked them some comprehension questions, and then the color is very, very important in this film. I'm not going to give some details about the question. I don't want to give a spoiler, but when you watch it, you will see it too. So the color is important, and I asked them what do colors bring into your mind. And then there are, after they watch the film, I asked them what questions do you want to ask to the characters. Then I asked them to draw your characters, to create your characters with Play-Dohs, and then write your conversations. Even with the pictures that you took from the films, adding some speech bubbles or thought bubbles, you can ask them to write the conversations. Maybe you can also create something like this and ask them to complete the table, the chart. So while they're watching, they can write about the color, the music, the time. So when does it take place? What is the music like? When does the music change? What colors do you see? And what do these colors bring into your mind? These are some links that I'd like to share with you. I'm sure most of you know about Film English. Film in Action is another website that can be very useful for the teachers who are interested in using short film in their lessons. Films Pro Fans is another website. There you can find lots of short films. It's not French as far as I know. There are lots of English videos too, and also there are videos without language, so you can use them in every lesson. Film Short is another one too. Into Film, Lesson Stream.org, they're really nice websites. And I'm sharing my Padlet too. There are some short films that I love using with my classes. Alike is the one that I mentioned. It's also on the Padlet too. If you visit it, you will find some other ideas maybe. So as I mentioned about my son and maybe the short films also, these films are really interesting. They're really cool stuff that we can use in the classroom because they all have a story. They have a content and they have a story, and stories are really interesting and they can bring fun into the classroom. And yes, we're all stories and we're all living our stories every day. We're we're creating our stories from getting up in the morning, going to our work or school, talking with other friends, and then we create a story during the day. And as I'd like to finish this talk with a Doctor Who quote, we're all stories in the end, and just make it a good one. So maybe bringing this, yes, this talk with a quote that I really love. That's all that I want to say about using film in the classroom. Thank you very much for your contribution, adding your ideas and brainstorming. I think I spoke a bit fast.
Thank you for that, Eva. If people would like to type questions into the box, we've still got a few minutes, about 4 minutes left, where you could answer them. So can you type any questions you have for Eva?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. The links are here. Alight is the film that I used in the example. If you visit the Padlet, you will find some other short films there too. I also like this one a lot. This is also a little girl whose mother is very busy with her work, and there is a really nice encounter on a bus with a young artist. Alice is also drawing something, and that's really cool again to take into the classroom. The Future Learn course is called Using Short Film, I think. Yes, yes, of course. I mean, here the students can do lots of things. So some of them are kinesthetic. So if you're asking them to create a character using Play-Doh, even with if they're good with their hands, it's really fun for them. And also, yeah, I think it is the BFI course, Mike. And also, they can draw things. Even you can ask them to create a soundtrack or a rap maybe after watching the film. So they can create a rap song together, sing, pair work, group work. So you can just use lots of intelligences. Thank you, Mike. Long films also can be divided into parts, or maybe you can use just a sequence of the film and watch it together. But with these short films also, you can do so many things. And even during the Christmas or New Year, you can find lots of sentimental, friendship or family related ads, I mean, commercial videos. They are really cool. I think you can have a look at them too. So there are some that I really love
that's
using.
Great. Thank you.
About family, friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I used it. So one more thing. Yes, I used the films with all the age groups. So I think you can choose the correct film and use it with all the levels.
I found your talk really engaging, and I think that everyone who's attended would agree that you've given us lots of really practical takeaways of like how to use short film with lower secondary specifically. So thank you very much. And now we're going to have a 10-minute break. So thank you. I'll see you in 10 minutes. Bye.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.